And what we detect very specifically on the identity side is that unwanted access, the initial access. We have detection mechanisms in place to spot credential theft and session hijacking specifically. There is specific tradecraft and different behaviors that happen throughout those types of events that we've built detectors for, and we can kind of look at a sign and attempt that's been successful in this way and kick hackers out. We also look at things like shady VPN activity. If you don't have business approved VPNs for employees to use while they're at home, or when they're outside of the network, we can look at the different types of VPNs that the shady hackers use to falsify where they're kind of logging in from. And suspicious proxies as well, just like that, evil man-in-the-middle attack of a session hijacking. But obviously, we take a layered approach as well to the detection response. So that's the initial access. But if there's any that kind of get through, we also need to look at what the attacker's doing in the environment and making sure that we look at those suspicious inbox rules. What's being created? Is there any forwarding of emails to external domains or RSS feeds? We need to be able to detect on what the attacker's doing in the environment. If they're giving themselves higher elements of privilege and access, so they can access more people's environments as well, and extra data that may not be accessible to the particular user that's been compromised. These are all tactics and techniques that they use and that we build detections around and hunt for specifically. But what's our response? Well, first and foremost, it's worth talking about what the 24/7 human-led SOC does. We obviously have our technology that has those detectors, but there's many different facets to a security operations center. One is doing that threat hunting, actually hunting hackers in the wild, looking at adversary activity and making sure that we can spot new trends, new types of methods that hackers are leveraging to get into systems. We have to monitor for those active intrusions and stop them happening in the first place. We conduct a lot of research and development. We do that's actually a dedicated part of our security operations center team that does the research so we can build new detectors and new mechanisms to stop new threats happening. And we provide that expert guidance, the response, and everything else that we provide to Excellence IT, so they can respond quickly as well, and ultimately, be really guided in that process of minimizing the damage that is caused through a breach as well. And this is kind of what it looks like. There's kind of three key aspects of what we do that you would see in the event of a breach. That is threat containment, making sure that we can quickly stop the spread if there is a successful attack happening by isolating identities, kicking those hackers out of your environment by revoking the sessions and kicking them out, but also kicking them out of an endpoint by isolating that host. Notifying Excellence IT that that's happened and that we've contained that threat. The next step would be eliminating the threat, making sure they're completely out of the environment, making sure we have some remediation steps that we can provide to Excellence or take on behalf of ourselves to clean up the environment and make sure there's no more malware on the system, make sure there's no processes running that would allow the hacker to get back in the environment if you've done an initial cleanup. And then obviously that guided cleanup and recovery, we can suggest and actually give advice on what we found, where we found it, what the next step should be. We can help with that process, but ultimately we can give that step-by-step guidance to Excellence IT on exactly what they can do to fully remediate the situation, harden the environment from a security posture standpoint, and ultimately provide you with a really great service to make sure that ultimately your business can operate. This is a lot of technical stuff that happens in the background that you probably don't care about. What you do care about is making sure the business can run, your data is safe, and if something does happen, the impact of that is minimized heavily. We're very passionate at Huntress on making sure this is available to SMBs because these types of technologies have not previously been available in the way that we do it with a fully 24/7 managed process. There's lots of extra bolt-ons from enterprise companies that make these services very, very cost prohibitive. So we're very passionate about making sure that SMBs can at least benefit from the types of technologies that are out there today.